It all started when a private TV channel in Tunisia broadcast an Iranian film depicting Allah as an old bearded man. A group of religious radicals was offended and resorted to violence to vent their anger over the film's airing. Nabil Karoui, who owns Nesma, the TV station that aired the animated movie, issued an official apology, but the mob torched his house anyway. More moderate Tunisians chose a peaceful route. They believe the recent violence jeopardizes their freedom of religion and freedom of expression, and they condemn this kind of actions. Religion in post-revolutionary Tunisia is stirring up emotion and controversy, and the country has seen many protests. Here in Washington, D.C., a recent event featured experts discussing the political situation in Tunisia and the country's upcoming elections. Daniel Moro, an Italian scholar working with the Center for Transatlantic Relations, insists that the violent minority represents only a tiny segment of Tunisians.
It doesn't represent, I think, the Tunisian public opinion. In fact, the film Persepolis was screened many times in Tunisia and also in Saudi Arabia without any kind of protest. I tend to believe that just was a kind of speculation 1 week before the election, and not because it is offensive, or I don't see any offense.
In his presentation, Tunisian ambassador to the United States, Mohamed Salah Takeya, stressed that modern Tunisia is an extremely tolerant society. Mohamed Malouche agrees. He leads a cross-cultural group of Tunisian American young professionals.
I'm hoping that these folks are a minority. They're not representing the majority of Tunisians. I think Tunisians do not want violence. Tunisians want to be governed in the center. They are not violent, and they are moderate people. And this is not a reflection, I believe, of what we truly value in the Tunisian value.
Jonathan Brown teaches Islamic studies to the largely Roman Catholic student body at Georgetown University. He thinks that religious disputes are part of a human nature.
When you speak about religious violence in societies, I mean, what you're really talking about is different visions of what a society should be. Some people, in the Tunisian case, thinking that certain kinds of movies are inappropriate and go against what God wants for people to do and what the shape that God wants a society to be. And other people have another vision for society or for civilization, which is more open and, let's say, a freer sense of expression. Those are different visions of how society should be, and you find the same types of disagreements in all sorts of countries, and these aren't necessarily always religiously based. There's been all sorts of great debates in the United States over to what extent the government should fund art projects when someone dunks his piece of artwork as a statue of Christ dunked in a bucket of urine, or for example, or a portrait of the Virgin Mary smeared with elephant feces. And people say, what kind of art is this? And other people say, well, it's really important to be able to have freedom of expression.
The United States was built on the idea of religious liberty. Most disagreements here are solved with words and not violence. And the same is true of Tunisia. But unfortunately, most Americans' exposure about that North African country is limited to stories about conflict and not peace. Asma Ghribi, The Daily Caller.